Imagine being so broke you barely have enough for a meal, yet still choosing kindness. Now imagine that small act of generosity unlocking a secret so big it flips your entire life upside down. That's what happened to Jayla Monroe, a struggling waitress who gave her last few dollars to a ragged old man at the bus stop, completely unaware he was a billionaire in disguise. What happened next shocked the entire city. This is the story of how one pure heart changed everything. Watch till the very end, because you won't believe who he really was. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-blowing real-life twists that make you believe in fate. Against you, last few thousand Jayla Monroe's sneakers slapped against the cracked pavement as she sprinted toward the bus stop, clutching a greasy paper bag filled with leftover fries and a small vanilla milkshake she'd swiped from the diner she waitressed at. The sun was already setting over the low-income block of West Charleston, and the last bus home would be gone in minutes. Her stomach groaned. She hadn't eaten all day, but there wasn't time. She barely had enough change to board the bus. And if she missed it, she'd be walking 3 miles home through streets that turned hostile after dark. When she reached the stop, she noticed him. Sitting alone on the cracked bench was a gaunt old black man, his beard wild, his coat torn, and his shoes nearly soleless. He rocked slightly, mumbling softly under his breath, clutching a crumpled newspaper. His eyes met hers, flickering with something deeper than desperation. "Ma'am, you got 75 cents. I need to get to St. James." Jayla paused. She had exactly $2.25 in quarters in her pocket, just enough for her own fare. But something in his eyes, a haunting mixture of defeat and hope, pushed her forward. She nodded, pressing the change into his palm. "Don't worry, I'll figure it out," she smiled. He looked up, stunned. "God bless you," he whispered. "You'll see." She chuckled nervously, not expecting anything. As the bus pulled in, she tried to plead with the driver, but rules were rules. No fare, no ride. The doors hissed closed in her face, and the ragged man watched her through the window, his fingers clutching the coins she gave him. She started the long walk home, alone, hungry, but not bitter. The next morning, Jayla arrived at the diner, with sore legs and blistered heels, not expecting anything to change. But everything was about. It was raining hard when the stranger returned. 2 days had passed since Jayla gave her last change to the ragged man. She hadn't seen him again, and in truth, she'd forgotten about the incident, consumed with her routine of 12-hour shifts, tray carrying, and rude customers. Then, just after her break ended, the bell over the diner's door chimed, and in walked a man in a tailored black suit. He wasn't flashy, but he didn't belong in this neighborhood, let alone this greasy spoon. His skin was the color of molasses, his beard trimmed neatly now, his shoes polished leather. He scanned the room until his eyes locked onto hers. "Excuse me," he said, striding to her counter. "Are you Jayla Monroe?" She blinked. "Why, yes. I'd like to speak to you, privately." Her manager, a burly man named Rick, stepped in. "You need to order or leave." But the suited man held up a black metal card, solid, weight, hand set it on the counter. Rick blinked. His eyes widened. That wasn't just a cardette, was a centurion. A billionaire's card. Rick backed off instantly. Jayla followed the man outside, confused. "What's this about?" she asked. The man turned to her, rain dripping off his hat brim. "You gave me your last few coins 2 days ago," he said softly. Her heart skipped. "That was you?" "Yes," he nodded. "And I wasn't lying. I needed to get to St. James. My wallet was stolen, and I wanted to see if there was still any goodness in the world, and I found it in you." Jayla didn't know what to say. He extended a hand. "My name is Langston Royce. I own Royce Global." Her breath caught in her throat. Royce Global was a Fortune 500 company, logistics, real estate, and tech. Worth billions, he smiled. You gave when you had nothing. I'd like to repay that, double quotes. Within days, Jayla's life flipped. Langston Royce wasn't just rich, he was dying. Stage 4 lymphoma. He'd been testing people, looking for someone to leave his empire to, not wanting it devoured by greedy board members or estranged relatives. He had no children, no heirs. He said he watched Jayla walk away from that bus, shoulders hunched, but dignity intact, and something stirred in his soul. That's who I was, he said. Once. He brought her into his world, slowly introducing her to mentors, letting her shadow boardroom meetings, teaching her about stocks, marketing, and leadership. She was sharp, hungry, and more importantly, compassionate. But others weren't. Happy, especially Monroe Carter, Langston's jealous nephew who had assumed he'd inherit everything. He began to plot. Fake scandals, paid rumors, whispered threats. But Jayla stood strong. I didn't ask for any of this, she said to the media during one staged confrontation. But I will earn every piece of it. The people rallied. Around her, the press adored her. She started speaking about her journey: poverty, kindness, hope. She started scholarships in Langston's name before he passed. And in a quiet moment, just before his last breath, he looked at her and whispered, "You're the daughter I never had." She wept, holding his hand as his heart stopped. The empire was now 6 months later. Jayla Monroe stood on a massive glass balcony overlooking the skyline of Manhattan. The world knew her name now. Forbes, CNN, the BBC, everyone covered the Cinderella-like rise of the girl who gave her last coins to a stranger. But it wasn't over yet. During Langston's funeral, a mysterious envelope was delivered to her. Inside was a note written in Langston's handwriting. The real test isn't when you have nothing. It's what you do when you have everything. Beneath it were instructions to visit an old apartment complex in West Charleston, where she used to live. When she arrived, dozens of families were gathered. Men, women, children, all smiling, clapping. A banner read, "The Jayla Monroe Community Center, fully funded for life." Langston had built it in her name. In the final twist, his will revealed she wouldn't just inherit his wealth, but his mission. A secret fund of $2 billion was dedicated solely for community development, youth education, and small business grants, all to be managed by her. She broke down in tears as she spoke to the crowd. This all started with 75 cents. But the real currency was kindness. The applause shook the streets, the same streets she once walked alone. Now, she wasn't just rich, she was legacy. She was legacy. She had become the hope she once needed. And it all began with one small act of kindness. When nobody was watching,